Hello everyone, today is week 1 of 7 in our 2013 Real Life Drive-In Summer Movie Series. And so I'm going to try a little something different this year, get into a habit of doing a weekly Friday night video blog to go with the movie that we're presenting here at Valley View Community Church. So maybe you're watching this and you recently were out watching our first movie, Wreck-It Ralph. If that's you, thanks for coming out. Hope you enjoyed the show. Maybe you're someone who just follows my blogs periodically, and whether you've seen the movie Wreck-It Ralph or not, just want to take a few minutes to share some insights, some thoughts, really make some connections. That's what these videos are going to be all about, is connecting some of the themes in the story, in the movies we're showing this summer, to some of the bigger themes in life and the journey of life and faith that all of us are on. And so Wreck-It Ralph, a very entertaining movie, one of the most creative movies I think to come out of Hollywood in many years. I really enjoyed it. I've seen it a few times, and but not just entertaining, not just creative. There are a lot of themes embedded in this film that really resonated with me, and I'm a firm believer that God speaks to his people, and God speaks in a variety of ways, and certainly God can speak through movies and through stories, and stories are powerful. So a couple things I just wanted to unpack, a couple things I wanted to share from this movie, really two themes, the theme of community and identity, and that's really the story of Ralph in this movie. And I love watching movies and reading books and trying to get into the minds and try and identify with different characters. And for me, and maybe for most humans, I think we can identify, if we're honest, with Ralph and with his journey and with his struggles in the movie. Here's a guy who's been labeled, and you know, we are people sometimes that we like to label ourselves and attach labels to other people, and he's labeled the bad guy. He's the bad character in his game. Fix-It Felix is the hero. And so Ralph is a guy he's searching for his identity. You know, he's been labeled, he's stuck in this label that's been given to him, and he's searching for community. And that's really the story of humanity, I believe, is that, you know, deep down we are social creatures. We long for relationships. There's something within us that I believe God has created us to be wired for relationships with our Creator and relationships with other humans. And it doesn't take a sociologist to figure that out. I was reading recently that, you know, humans are the only kind of created animals or beings that actually eat together socially. And that's something interesting. And it's interesting that in the story of humanity, as the Bible describes it, the story which kind of guides my life, right at the beginning of the story that we have, it says in the first chapter of Genesis that God created mankind, man and women, in his image and in his likeness. And that means a lot of things, I think, but one thing I believe that means is that we were created for community. And you might be asking, what does that have anything to do with God? Well, I believe that God himself is, in a sense, a community. God is one, but in the Christian tradition and history, God is one, but God is three. God is Trinity, Father, Son, and Spirit. And I'm not going to try and explain that. I'm getting a headache just talking about it. But I do believe there's some value in understanding that, because the core of who God is, we are told, and we see in the person of Jesus, is that God is love. And love can only exist in relationship. You can't love unless there's someone to give the love and someone to receive the love and the spirit of love working. And so when I try and explain the God of the Bible, I simply say God is love, and that makes sense. If God is Father, Son, and Spirit, that is the essence of who God is, and God's been in community with himself long before he created the world. And so God created the world to share the love, to share the essence of who God is. And love can only exist in community. So that's why I think we have this deep inner longing for community. Just like Ralph in this movie had a deep inner longing for community and felt lonely, felt isolated, felt jealous of Felix because he wasn't allowed to be a part of their community. And so Ralph goes on a journey in this film, and this describes in large part my journey and all of our journeys in life. It's a journey to find our identity. And in the movie, if you've seen it or if you saw it recently at our drive-in movie nights, the rest of the movie, sorry, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but it is Ralph searching on this journey to earn the love and affection of the other characters in his game, to earn acceptance into their community. He's searching for a medal. If he can only get a medal, then he would finally be a hero. He wouldn't be the bad guy. He would be able to shed the label that people have given him, and finally he would then be accepted in the community. And that's really the story. I mean, again, going back to the Bible, things were great. God created man and women in his image. There was a deep connection between God and humanity. And then we read in Genesis chapter 3 that sin entered into the equation. And men and women made some choices outside of God's loving bounds, and because of those choices there was a break, there was a separation between that perfect loving relationship between God and his creation. And the story goes that ever since then, people have been trying to reconnect with God through religion. And religion, as I describe it, is simply people trying to make their way or earn, just as Ralph is trying to earn the respect of others. We've been trying to earn back the respect of others and of God. And really, that's pretty difficult thing to do. There's no way to earn that. It's a gift from God. And that's really the whole story of Scripture, and the whole story in history is not that we can earn good graces with God. It's not about what we do per se. And so much of my identity sometimes can be caught up in what I'm doing or what I'm saying. And we can get so caught up in our identity becomes tied up in what we wear or what we drive or where we live or how much money's in our bank account or what type of job we have. We can tie in our identity, and there's thousands of things that are competing in our world for our identity. We get bombarded with advertisements, we get bombarded with social networking and as a way of attaching ourselves to a community and finding our identity. But the beauty of the biblical story is that we are loved by God in spite of ourselves. And that's really the beautiful picture of the story of Jesus coming to this earth. Is that, he says, stop trying to earn your way back in. I will come down to you. I will come down, step into the mess that you've made in this world, and I will declare once and for all just how much I love you, that you can live in restored, renewed relationship with me, your loving Creator, and with those around you, and shedding those fears and jealousy and bitterness and all those things that Ralph encountered on his journey. We need not encounter those on our journey of life. I'm reading a book right now. It's kind of neat because it ties into the theme of this movie. It's called Prototype, and it's all about stepping into our God-given identity. And I'm just going to read a little bit. This is what the author says right at the outset of the book. These are his first words in the book. He asks a question, an important question, very simple question: who are you? If I were to ask you that question straight up, you might respond with some version of your Facebook profile. Here's where I went to school. These are my favorite movies, books, and bands. I like to fish, hunt, play video games, go scuba diving, and listen to Jay-Z. But who are you really, behind the avatars you've created for yourself? What are you covering up? What are you afraid of? What are you hoping for? Where are you going? If you're like most people in our society, you live in a perpetual identity crisis, with countless voices competing for your attention across a dizzying array of platforms telling you who you are and who you ought to be. And I just want to take a moment to add another voice to that, and it's the voice of God. It's the voice of God calling out, I believe, to all people he has created, saying, you are my beloved son, you are my beloved daughter. What if instead of asking the question, what am I doing, or what am I going to do? How am I going to earn the respect of my peers? How am I going to make up for all the wrong decisions I've made in my past? What if instead of putting a priority to those questions, we backed up when we started by taking a long look at this question: who am I? What is my true identity? What if there is a God who created you? What if he is loving? What if he has revealed himself in the person of Jesus? What if he is wooing and longing and calling you to step into the identity as a beloved son and daughter of God? And what if our identity, our true identity, what it really means to be human, is to be in a loving relationship with that Creator and with those around us? I've come to see that so freeing, and I'm still in process. I'm still growing in my faith and in my relationship with God and others, but it's so freeing to know that you can step into that identity, and then all those competing voices shouting for our identity, we can put those in their place, and those don't have to take away, those don't have to consume our thoughts. So I just wanted to share a few thoughts from the movie tonight. We are created for community. Community is a good thing. I believe that we can come together in this community together and make it a better place we live. And the only way I believe we can do that is by stepping back and saying, who am I? And exploring and investigating that perhaps there is a God who loves you and he's calling you to step into a restored, loving relationship with him. And so Ralph's story is really my story. It's our story. It's a search for community. It's a search for identity. And I hope and trust that you've enjoyed the film. If you watched it recently, if you haven't had a chance, go out and watch the movie Wreck-It Ralph. I'm sure there's a lot more insights you'll have, but those are just a few thoughts I wanted to share with you tonight. Next week, here's what's on the agenda: The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Just a wonderful film adaptation from C.S. Lewis's Narnia book. So I encourage you to come on out next Friday night, week 2 of 7. Bring some friends and enjoy. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Take care. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.